Hello there. Welcome to whatever we're calling this show. Hello everyone. Welcome back to SiDEQUEST.
It's almost New Year's Eve.
That it is. As the Mandalorians would say, Bricase evar la simir. But today, our topic is going as we focused on one planet last time. Maybe we should have a broader look, or perhaps as broad as can be. Just a general overview of the astrocartography of the galaxy far, far away.
I like it.
So,
say that 10 times.
Astrocartography of the galaxy far, far away. Astrocartography of the galaxy far, far away. But
Somebody's practiced saying that.
Try to get me to say obscure freaking dinosaur names, Micropachycephalosaurus, or whatever.
Wow.
Shongguanlong Baimoensis. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so I suppose we should start at the center of it all, the center of it all, the deep core. Wait. Perhaps I should start showing. So I'm putting up on screen the different segments of the galaxy. What counts as north and south and east and west are completely arbitrary, as there is no magnetic. There's gravitational pull toward the center, as that's the very definition of what a galaxy is. Anyway, so as with ours, the Star Wars galaxy contains a massive cluster of black holes at its center. This is at the very deep core of the region we call the deep core. As such, traversing this region is extraordinarily difficult, as what we call mass shadows, the gravitational effects of said black holes make hyperspace unstable, and as such, mapping it is almost a fool's gambit, as they'll change frequently and require just constant maintenance. So as such, many planets have been lost and rediscovered many times. But there's the three planets of most interest in this region would be Prakith, Bis, and Tython. Prakith is interesting as a Sith world, as is Bis. It was actually Palpatine's secret, or how, besides Wayland, he had a lot of dark secrets hidden away there. But yes, obviously the most important and prevalent world of these would be Tython, which you should be quite familiar with if you've played the game or watched our previous episodes, as, you know, the very birthplace of the Jedi. If you want to see that more in depth, I recommend you see our previous episodes, I think like 2 or 3 back. Next up is perhaps the most important astropolitically, the simply core worlds. As you might imagine, the naming conventions of these are Republic-centric, which, you know, formed in the core worlds with the alliance of Coruscant and Duro and Corellia and whatnot, and expanded outward. So, of course, there's, as I said, Coruscant, Corellia, Duro, Alderaan, I believe all of those are visitable in SWTOR. As we like to, I guess, turn the conversation back in game. Well, not Duro, I guess, but it's actually
no.
Surprisingly, Duros in the lore are supposed to be some of the most prevalent species in the galaxy, but they're really not that well established in a lot of visual material. Like, and they're enough to have offshoots, of genetic offshoots, the same way humans do with Chiss and whatever. In that, did you guys know that Did you guys know that the Neimoidians are actually offshoots of the Duro?
No.
Yeah, I don't even know what the Duro look like.
Duro are the blue dudes with red eyes. Not to be confused with Chiss. They were first seen in the Mos Eisley Cantina. They're big skulls.
Is Cad Bane?
Cad Bane is a Duros.
I know what you're talking.
Yeah, they're an interesting species. We may talk about it on another episode. But alas, proceeding outwards, we go to the colonies, so similarly to how in Halo, for example, there's inner colonies, outer colonies. This was the term for this region of the galaxy where they began expanding the Republic outwards. However, they kind of fell into irrelevance as galactic history continued. Really, the only important ones I can really think of are Fondor, which is a massive shipwright planet, like alongside Kuat. And there's a couple homeworlds of some important species, like the Deveronians, and I think Neimoidia itself we were just talking about. Go a little farther, we reach the Inner Rim. Also kind of ended up being supplanted in importance to... Because, as colonization is in real life, it's often a matter of extracting resources to bring back to the throne world, I suppose. So, Coruscant is 100% dependent on imports for 99% of everything. But, it's just these were often stripped of resources, but now have become their own, independent stuff. But, their important worlds, there's, Thyfera, that's where Bacta is produced. I always think of the line in Republic Commando, "Get yourself some Bacta, Commando." It's like that stuff. Let me see. There's Onderon, Zeltros, Manan. They're still managed to retain some important worlds there. You go a little outward more. You go to the expansion region, where they were expanding their influence. There's a couple more important homeworlds of different species, like the Iktochi, Umbara, Mimban. Okay, we've only got a couple more now. Next is the Mid-Rim. I should also mention that the definitions of these kind of have changed over time. I'll go a little more into that once we get to the Outer Rim. But with the Mid-Rim, the most of note to people who've seen the movies and whatnot, that would be Naboo. There's Bothawi as well, and yeah, to be honest, now that I've thought about it, I'm just gonna go one more. Like 90% of stories in Star Wars are all in the Outer Rim, which is I suppose it makes sense from how it is the largest region by far, but it's also I guess it's things in the core or whatever too civilized have these all big adventures and whatnot, I suppose, in a lot of ways. So,
oh yeah, I mean the system of government.
Yeah, because I mean, basically, you want it's like the Outer Rim is kind of like the Wild West in American history. It's like, it was mapped and known, but there's still mysteries. It wasn't exactly like how the Americas first were when Europeans first came along. Like they had to traverse a map. At this point in the story, that is. But so almost everywhere in the movies you can think of is there. It's Tatooine, Mustafar, Utapau, Endor. Actually, and a lot of those are in the southern region. Now that I think about it, to the north, there's of course there's Yavin. Dear to me is Mandalore, of course. Finally, there's only two left. So this is where stuff gets a little vague. Wild space is actually maybe be even more apt to say wild space is the Wild West, because that is also the mapped, but also very lawless outside the sphere of influence of most of the governments throughout galactic history. And finally, the unknown regions, which have been a subject of much mystery in both official media and the fan base.
Like what?
Well, I mean, that's where the Chiss come from. That's where the Rakata came from. You, who loves the Vong so much, that's where Zonama Sekot ended up. So as it turns out, there is a mysterious hyperspace barrier of sorts, like bisecting the galaxy almost, in which it's very difficult to find viable routes to get to the unknown regions, and they're a very closely guarded secret. Some speculation that it was the Celestials who created this barrier to protect the galaxy from the horrors lying out there, or some believe it's a natural phenomenon as some sort of gravitational effect. So there's many dark mysteries. If you, I very much recommend looking at the Star Wars RPG sourcebook, simply called The Unknown Regions, which goes quite into depths of stuff. There's beyond, Rakata remnants, the Chiss, the Siruk, which are literally just giant raptors, which I guess drain people's energy to power their machines. There's some wacky stuff. And that's not even getting into Ngal, but that no one knows. Dun dun dun. But so yes, as I was mentioning before, these definitions do vary over time because for example, in the time of KOTOR, a lot of what we now refer to as the Outer Rim was still the unknown regions because they hadn't been explored yet. So, because for example, KOTOR 2, they kept going on and on about how Revan departed for the unknown regions to find the true Sith and whatever. But then you look at the map and you're like, wait, Drumwood Khas is just in the Outer Rim. What's going on there? No, it's a matter of temporal relativity you need to account for. Yeah.
So what is unknown region in the time of SWTOR is not the unknown region at the time of the Battle of Yavin?
As of KOTOR, definitely not. SWTOR, it's a lot closer, but there was a lot of exploration in those 300 years, but yes, there's some differentiation. Like, for example, I believe Kali would still have been unknown regions at that point, because when that companion Zalek, I think he says, yeah, his species is unknown to his homeworld is unknown to most of galactic society. Shiv Kalrainik, was that his name? I love the Kalisha. Are honestly my second favorite culture in Star Wars. They're crazy. Love General Grievous, but
I'm just a huge fan of Grievous as well. I love the guy.
a man of culture, I see.
That's just another thing I think is really funny about him is like whenever he faces Obi-Wan, he always gets beat. He always gets beaten.
Never heard from him again.
Oh yeah. You are a bold one. Oh, so anyway, do you guys have any questions in regards to my little lecture there?
No, but I have a new feature we're going to add.
That's so?
So we'll get to that at the end.
Well, we've got about 3 minutes remaining.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to throw in the most interesting, I don't know if you want to call it numbskull, but the most interesting question that I want to see answered. So this week's question is, who made the very first lightsaber and how did they make it? I don't know.
Very good question. So, lightsabers were, as we see in the Dawn of the Jedi comics, going back to Tython, the Rakata had weapons they called Force Sabers, which were very similar, but not that same level of sophistication. So the early Jedi reverse engineered that tech from a defected Rakatan agent called Zesh, and so the very earliest lightsabers actually had they didn't have internal power supplies. You actually had to like clip like a battery of sorts to your belt and loop it with like a cable to it. So it was kind of unwieldy, but unless I'm mistaken, the first like true what we would call like modern lightsaber design isn't that encountered in the Jedi consular story in SWTOR? Like, don't you receive
when you do Tython and you get to the end of the story, you have to kill the beast that's in front of the like forge, and then you forge your very first lightsaber. Right.
It's oh yeah, like utilizing the remnants of the first one, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I was just curious. We talk about them so much. Because if you look at what's going on right now, it's kind of creepy.
Like,
we got people who are making lightsabers with lasers and tungsten rods and.
Oh, you mean like Hacksmith?
Yeah, they're on YouTube and other places, and they're basically making
amazing.
The first.
I'm like, of course this doesn't have all the same properties as like you can't have them collide with each other, but it's like I guess it's like Star Trek when Star Trek first came out, automatic moving doors were complete science fiction. Now they're commonplace. Like, I wonder, another 50 years, is everybody going to be running around with a lightsaber? I don't know.
I do too. The aircraft carrier is called Enterprise, not because somebody picked it up as a military name, but because to honor the Enterprise from Star Trek. So it's interesting how TV becomes lore and becomes culture, and culture becomes TV, and it's very interesting.
This is very true. alas, it's about all the time we have. So,
Okay.
well, dear viewer, thank you for joining us. This is probably going to be uploaded way later, but Happy New Year, and may the Force be with you.
And Happy New Year.